And Eli Badger is here. I expect Mr. Letourneau shortly. Moving on to approval of minutes.
I have two changes. Page number 2, line 34 should be changed from hearing to heating. And page number 3, line 3, net should be changed to next.
Mr. Letourneau has joined us.
Yep, as soon as I get this video going, here we go. Here we go.
Long time no see, Bob.
I know, just had dinner. Jeez, boy.
Okay. Any other changes? Bob, we're discussing the minutes right now.
I assume that. Thank you.
I will, if there are no other changes, I'll accept a motion to accept as amended.
I'll make a motion to accept as amended.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Ann Barney,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Bob Letourneau,
Aye.
Eli Badger says aye. Moving on to old business, update on town manager search. Ms. Newton, I think you have news for us?
I do. The good news is we have made an offer to a gentleman and are currently in the process of doing background check and, criminal records, et cetera. He will start, assuming all of that checks out, in roughly 30 days. It's a gentleman who comes to us with a wealth of experience, many, many years as a town manager, and the board that interviewed him was unanimous and that he was our choice. So we're looking forward to that. I think it's okay to mention his name, Eli? No,
So
no
far,
reason
I
not
think-
to. Yeah, his name is
Why not?
Fred Welch. Some of you may know the name. He was a town administrator in Ashland many, many years ago, well before my time, but he certainly knows Ashland. And he's clearly done his homework. He's studied our meetings, and I think we look forward to having him join us.
Bob,
I recall sealing the minutes for 30 minutes, and I don't have a problem with releasing the name, but I think that we'd have to unseal those minutes, wouldn't we?
I thought we sealed them.
We sealed about the salary.
We sealed it, yes.
Just
That's
the
what I thought.
salary? Are you sure of
Yeah.
that? Okay, thank you. All right.
Because everything had not been worked out yet.
Right.
Well, I wasn't sure that, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Just want to make sure that we're doing it correctly.
Yeah. So. Next up is update on TAP project.
You want me to do that too?
You've got the paperwork.
Well, you all have the paperwork, but we had our pre-construction meeting a week or so ago, and they're on track to start the work, hopefully the end of this month. The plan is that the project will be completed in 6 to 8 weeks, and the goal is no later than June 30th, which should get it done well ahead of the 4th of July celebration, assuming we have one. Just a couple of things to note. For some period of time, there will be one-way traffic during the construction. They'll have weekly project meetings at the town hall. So everything looks good.
Now, for all those that don't know, this project was started over 4 years ago. And it's finally come to fruition.
Mhm.
So we will have along Main Street and Gordon Street, we will have new sidewalks.
It goes all the way down to West Street.
Yes.
So it'll really make the town look nice. I know right now they have to move some electric poles and that needs to be done before they start the construction. But that's going to be taken care of by electric department.
That's in process.
Mhm.
Craig has that worked out, I believe.
Yeah, well, pretty much. We still have some things to work out, but we are trying to work them out, yes, because it's just the limited manpower. So it's
Yeah.
I expect that we will have it all done by the time they need us to.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Any further comments on the TAP project? Hearing none. And under new business, we have Parks and Recreation. Our dual purpose member is here. Ms. Barney, take it away.
Okay, so what I want to do is kind of, as of last year, with COVID, we ran things, but we ran them smaller and restricted them. And I'm just looking for guidance to see if we are ready to open things up for summer camp as far as capacity and resident or non-resident, same with the beach. And I'd like to kind of go unilateral across the board. Like if we open the beach up for only residents, then I kind of have to do the same thing with camp because we bring camp to the beach. So I'm looking to get that out so I can get those started and see how many people I need to hire for summer camp because we only did half capacity last year. My goal is to open it. We run the after school program. The governor's new guideline for schools, which is what we go by for the after school, has changed to 3 feet instead of 6 feet. So we would be able to fit more people in the booster club. I mean, granted, we're outside most of the time, but in case it's bad weather or something. So I would like to open it up to, the regular, we could have 40 kids come to camp. We still have the same, we will take temperatures in the morning. You go through the checklist, make sure nobody's gone anywhere and all that I have paperwork for. I sent you the paperwork that we had for it for last year in case the new board members are. We still have them wear masks all the time unless that changes. So we have the tools to clean. We have the spray guns that we use for the after school. And we have 2 of them, so I can do them at the beach and also at the after school program, and it will be summer camp. So I guess what I'm looking for from the board is to see if you will let me open up at full capacity for summer camp and whether you want residents or non-residents, and the same for the beach. Last year, we only had 75% capacity. 75 people at the beach, and we never got to that number. So it's not huge there. We did not charge last year. We didn't have the snack shack open.
Yeah.
And I think we can open the snack shack this year, but we won't have everything that we usually have. Like we won't do hot dogs because, that's something that's open, but we could sell water and chips and things that are sealed. We have all the upgrades there as well as at the Booster Club as far as the toilets with the no hands flushing and the hand sanitizers and all that stuff as well. So that is basically what I am looking for. Guidance from you guys to let me know if I can open at full capacity or if we are still going to scale it back some.
May I, Ann,
Yep.
as far as summer camp goes,
Mhm.
the capacity, uh, you said that we did not open it to children outside of our town.
Correct.
In general, how many non-Ashland children would we have in a year?
Well, I can tell you I've had 5 people call already. I mean,
Okay,
granted, it is mostly Ashland residents.
is that normal for most years?
Mostly Ashland, yeah, I would say,
No, well, as far as the outside students.
yeah, most of them are Ashland. We probably
Yeah.
get between 5 and 8.
So it's a normal amount. It would just be increasing by 5, generally 5, as you call them, campers.
Well, no, last year we capped it at 18. I only allowed Ashland residents and I only could have the first 18 that signed up.
Okay.
So the numbers would increase. We usually can have up to 40. That's including resident and non-resident.
What do you think about capping it at 40, Ann?
I think with the way that the after school has been running and the way I want to do trips, like we did not do trips last year, and I would like to do trips, but not in the way that we usually do them. Like I'm not going to Whale's Tail where there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I want to take them on hikes, things that are outside. So we didn't use buses last year, but 40, the buses usually they can take 75. So with 40, we'd still be able to do either one child per seat, or if we have, families, we can put 2 in a seat. So they would still be able to be distanced with the max 40. And we're outside 90% of the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody else have questions?
Most of your buses that Robertson's has or Durham School Services are considered 72 passengers or children or 44 adults. To get 40 people on one bus, you are going to have to put 2 per seat.
No. I work at
Yes,
school, we don't do that.
44 passengers or 72 kids. I've been driving buses for a long time.
Well, we can put the kids separate, 40 kids on the bus and have enough space between them. We only have to do 3 feet. We don't have to like alternate from one side. Before we were doing one here, not one across, and then one in front of the one that was across. We don't have to do that.
No, I realize that, but what I'm saying, Ann, is you're going to wind up putting 2 kids per seat, and those seats are about 3 feet wide.
That's not the way it is working out with us at school, the way we have it with families and stuff. I mean, granted, I guess if I have 40 kids that are from different households, then they'll have to wear their masks when they're closer than 3 feet, which we're going to wear anyway on the bus.
I just wonder if we shouldn't avoid that for this year. That's where I'm going with this.
Do you want to
Unless things change, I'm thinking we should avoid it this year.
do you want to avoid trips or avoid numbers?
Trips.
And where would you take them hiking? That's one of the things you mentioned.
Right, well, what I'm thinking is we can go to like Polar Caves, we're outside. We could go to Wellington, which also has a hiking trail.
Rattlesnake. You can do rattlesnake.
Yeah, we could do Rattlesnake. I mean, also, I've talked to other people about getting things to come in, like wildlife animals. They'll come in for a day. So instead of a trip on a Friday, we'll have whoever come in and do a show type thing. I just don't want to have to not be able to do anything with the kids. We kind of did that last year and it worked. We were at the beach 2 days a week, but if we could get 40, then we'd have an issue. But who knows? Maybe we get 30 kids. We can make the trips. We can figure that out weekly, because 1 week we may have 40, 1 week we may have, 30. We don't know on that, but I would hate to have to say we are not doing trips this year, no matter what. I mean, maybe on a bigger week, that's the week we have people come in. I don't know.
So, Ann, what about this? What about, you have different classes in your camps. You have different age groups in your camps. What if you took your upper group to Polar Caves, but before they went to Polar Caves, you took your two lower groups or your lower group over to the beach? They spent the beach at the day spent the day at the beach, and the other group went to Polar Caves, and then next week you reverse it. Is that doable if we get into the situation where we can't put enough people on the bus?
Absolutely. I mean, and we've done it before where if we've gone places, the parents have dropped the kids off if it wasn't that far. Dropped them off. We had like drop off and pick up at Rattlesnake. Some parents are willing to do that. I mean, we can make it work. I would just hate to say we're not doing any trips. I think we should wait and see what the numbers are and make the trips work with what we have, because they do have to sign up ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm on board with you. You should be able to make the trips, but I think we need to be cautious this year still.
Right.
So if we can break them up, then I think that will work.
And if we have 40, that's probably doable. But I mean, honestly, I don't know how many parents are going to be comfortable to send their kids. We may not have 40 this year. We may only have 25. I don't know.
I think putting a max of 40,
Well,
whether
yeah.
they're in town or out of town campers,
Mhm.
Is reasonable.
Yes. And that would be the max any year.
And we are still going to be playing it a little bit by ear, depending upon how
Number.
things go. Is with 40, yes, Bob?
Yeah, I just want to ask a question, Ann. The governor required all the schools to open for in-person schooling this week. So these kids are already going to school, and they're doing all these group things already. There isn't any data that shows they're in any danger. You're wearing masks, you're taking all the proper precautions, you got the hand sanitizer and all that. And I think we're probably overthinking this.
I'm
Well-
more than happy to go with our numbers and make the trips or events, use events, because if we have a big group, we can have an event come to the park. doing that depending on what numbers we have for weeks. I'm fine with that. I just would like to be able to get the kids a little bit of normalcy. I mean, we're not gonna go to Santa's Village. We're not gonna go to places like that, but just places where the kids can get out and be kids.
And I think that having a max of 40 at this time is reasonable. Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I just want to be very cautious. The last thing we need to do is start a COVID chain. The
Absolutely.
buses are iffy at best. On a warm day, you can open up every window. On a rainy day, you can't open up anything because everybody gets wet.
On a
So,
rainy day, we wouldn't go because I'm only gonna do outside things.
okay. No,
Alan?
I'm all set as long as we use caution.
Yep.
Alan, do you have anything?
I'm good with the 40. However, Ann wants to put that together.
Yeah. Bob?
I'm good.
Can we have non-residents? Or just residents?
Total of 40
Okay,
Your choice, you know what to
is
do.
how a total of 40 is how I feel at this time.
okay.
Does that make sense to people?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, now let's go to the beach.
So last year, we did not charge anything and we did residents only. Like I said, we never got to the 75 max that I was asked to keep the numbers under.
Well, okay, we did 75 max,
Mhm.
but it was town residents plus the campground people, correct?
Right, yes,
Okay. I just want to get that in there.
yes.
probably want to keep it the same way this year, just campground people and town residents for another year.
Okay, then we would have an issue with, I bring my summer camp kids there. If I'm
Oh.
bringing non-resident summer camp kids there, then there's gonna be issues with people saying, why are non-residents there? I think we gotta go across the board with that one so that we have one rule.
I'm so sure they're enrolled in a town program. And they'd be acting with your auspices, which is different from somebody just coming in. You would be controlling the people there. I think you could still manage it with under those guidelines. You could bring those kids in. Who's going to make a big stink about children at the beach?
You would be surprised.
I would.
I would not be surprised because it has happened.
Yeah. What is the downside? I want to look at both sides, Ann. What's the downside of allowing, as long as we have a max number of people for the beach, what is the downside of allowing non-resident people at our beach?
I guess town people got used to just them being there. I mean, that's the only thing I can see, but we didn't collect any fees at all last year. So we might want to think about, if we're getting back to normal, maybe we start doing fees again for out of town and residents.
I'd like to hear some feedback if there is some.
And a question, pre-pandemic, how many people did you have on a hot day in July?
I don't think I ever had 75 ever.
Ever.
That includes non-residents.
Correct, because I never kept them separate until last year.
Okay. I really don't see an issue with that. I just wonder if we want to go back to charging the fees or not.
And when we did non-residents last year, it was really difficult for people that had, say, family members, grandchildren came up and stayed with them for the week or whatever. They couldn't even bring their kids there.
That's what I got most, when people talk to me, that's what I got most of, was the grandparent and not being able to take their grandchildren to the beach.
Right, but what we were trying to do was keeping people from other locations
Absolutely.
coming in and, yeah, so I mean, I think if we keep the maximum, if you want to keep it at 75, that's fine. Keep the maximum and not separate resident and non-resident. I mean, it'll be easier for the people at the gate. They'll just have to count. And, you know, like we have lifeguards that we have to pay for. I think we charge again.
Bob?
And does that 75 include your campers?
Yes,
Bob?
And what is the capacity of the beach? Did we ever set a capacity for that?
I have no idea, no.
Okay,
Someone
75.
mentioned at one point 125,
okay.
but that's totally hearsay without any foundation.
And I think that was before Craig took all the trees down. It like
Yeah.
almost doubled. I mean, it's not right
Craig.
in the water, but the area.
I see your hand, Craig. You can,
Yeah, I would just say that there is not close to enough parking spots in there to have anywhere close to 75.
how many parking spots is there?
I think I counted them last year because it came up, and do any of you remember? Oh my God, I think I can hold like 35 cars there total. That's it. You know, and then you got the kids on bikes, maybe. I don't even think,
Some bikes, you have a few that walk.
yeah, so I think I counted 30 spots when I measured it, the front and back, because there's not any room to put them in the middle. So you,
So, Craig?
Yep.
With that information, even if you said, if there were two to a car, that's 70 people that can come by car.
yeah, but that parking lot isn't, yeah, it never has 30 cars in it even, because
Yeah.
there's no, if we put lines in and people stayed within the lines, then we could put that many, but if you ever go over there, you'll see.
I've been there when it was a bit messier than that.
How do you
I
get the
think
students
75
there?
is a good number, still a good number, but and you've had you've observed how many people were there, and you have said that nowhere near 75. I think if we
there was
keep it
one
at
day-
75 with between residents and non-residents, that would be fine.
I think Ann had the question on the fees. What are the fees, Ann?
It's $25 for the season for a resident, $50 for season for non-resident, $2 for a day, or $4 for non-resident.
And
Got it.
0 after 5, right?
Well, yeah, after our lifeguards are on duty, then it's all up for grabs or whatever.
Yeah. Anybody else have a comment?
No, I'm good with what's going on here. This sounds good. Get back to some sense of normalcy. The beach is an important part of the town. The residents love it. The kids love it. My grandchildren come over from Bridgewater. I'd like to be able to take them down to the beach.
And as far as the snack shack, I think that anything that is non-perishable, that isn't the internals aren't handled, bagged chips, bagged popcorn,
Ice cream.
soft drinks, water, whatever would be acceptable to be sold. And those could be kept, the outsides could be kept clean.
Yeah, what we did last year was, we opened one bathroom, and whoever was up at the snack shack, they had to come and get the key, and they would clean it after.
Okay,
So, and like I said, we have the gun, so we can just go in and spray. Because we didn't have the gun last year for the beach.
okay. So next is campground.
Okay, so the trees are gonna be removed the 12th, 13th, and 14th from what we already knew was gonna happen, but those are the dates. I'm hoping to open it May 1st on time, because last year we backed it up a little bit, but I feel like we can do it on time. And I was just wondering, last year, what we did, I sent it to you guys, the bathhouse opening. We would only let one person in the bathhouse, even though there's 3 bathrooms at a time. I don't know if we need that this year with the 3 feet thing. As long as they have their masks on, the bathrooms are separated enough. I mean, I'm sure to be able to get it opened on time and everything, that the campers would not have a problem with, signing a paper like they did last year, but I don't think it's necessary where we would put, I still can put the masks and I still can put the cleaning supplies and the gloves in there. So when they come in, they can put all that stuff in there. There is a thing on the outside that's vacancy or non-vacancy. So if someone is in there and people don't feel comfortable, that way, if there's a family, the family could all go in. But that is totally up to you. I can make whatever work for that.
Comments? Any comments on the campground and bathhouse?
I would assume that Ann has got a good grip on that. She's correct. There are some family members that may do some changing with some younger children and need to be in the bathhouse at the same time. Having a restriction of one person at a time could be a little difficult for that scenario. So not a little difficult, it would be difficult.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Andy?
Yeah, I'm all set with this. No matter what you do, you can't protect everybody. I think this is going to turn out okay for us.
Alan?
I agree. I believe Ann has a very good plan, excuse me, to put in place.
Okay. Moving on to the Booster Club roof repairs.
Yes, so the shingles on the Booster Club roof keep flying off anytime we have a windstorm. Craig has fixed them twice this year. I would say, I don't know, was it 5 or 6 times in the last 3 to 4 years, Craig? It just,
Yeah, right.
whoever put the roof on, Craig can probably explain better. He's the one that told me.
Well, yeah, I just give you a little update. So when whoever did the roof, I believe it was 2016 is what I was told. They had their nail gun set way too high. So when we go up there to fix this roof, the nails are halfway pulled through the shingles already. And it's not just one or two, it's every single one of them. So we, ever since 2017, I have repaired shingles on that roof at least twice a year, and this year it has been even worse. And in fact, right now I haven't had time to get up there and fix it. I gotta try to do it before this rain Sunday. Gotta try to get up there Friday afternoon and fix that again, at least put something on it. But we're looking at some damage if it rains when there's a windstorm, it's gonna leak in because I'm not gonna be there to fix it. So it's just they had the nail gun too high, the pressure too high on the air, and every nail is halfway ripped through each shingle. It's not the roof, the structure of the roof, or it's not that the roof is rotted. It's actually they just put the nails in too hard.
Cost to take care of the shingles.
Well, we went and I got some estimates for metal roofing because when I was talking to the roofing people, they said it's almost the same price to put metal roofing because they can put the metal roofing on over the
Over the
shingle.
wood, yeah.
And if they have to take those shingles off because they are messed up, then they have to strip the whole thing. So I've called 4 different places. 2 of them could not even come and look until like after October to come and look at the roof because with all the wind and stuff, they're booked up that much. 2 other ones did come. And one of them gave me an estimate of $10,995 and the other was $22,000. But if we get a metal roof, none of us, it's going to be guaranteed forever, as long as any of us are around.
That's saying a lot. There's a
Craig,
guy here in Ashland that does metal roofs that lives right on Thompson Street. You should probably get in touch with him and get a price.
Who was that?
The fellow lives on Thompson Street. I'll give you that information later.
Okay.
Craig, since you've been up there.
Yep.
I'd like to hear from you a little bit. If you patch this roof, if you get the shingles replaced that you need to for this year, would it last until we can budget for it better?
It would, but like I was saying earlier, if we have a windstorm that includes rain, it's gonna blow off again because what I fix isn't blowing off, it's a different spot. So it just keeps going across the whole roof. So if that wind is like this summer, when we have a downpour with wind and the wind's
Yes.
really blowing up, you're taking a risk of it leaking all inside Ann's office because the next part it's going is right over her office. There's computers in there, there's monitors. I can fix it this time and get it, and you can just hope that it's not gonna fail. Obviously, what we put down is all done by hand with a hammer. So we're not ripping, nothing's ripping through the shingle. So it's just a gamble, that's all. You can budget for it or take a chance.
Alan, you have your hand up?
You're muted, Alan.
Unmute.
Apologize. I have a dog in the house here. Question for you, Craig. Was that a stripped re-roof or was that shingled over old shingles?
No, that was stripped.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and it's just going through the tar paper and there's boards on there, Alan.
Yes, I do.
Not plywood, it's boarded.
Yes,
So some of the nails when they drove in didn't even hit wood. You know how that goes when it's planks. But yeah, it's been stripped previously.
okay, thank you.
No, we can't do anything before Sunday.
Well, I'm gonna try to fix it before the rain Sunday.
Yeah,
So.
that would be nice, Greg. Do you have, Ann, do you have written estimates?
Yes. And Craig was there and talked to the guy as well.
Yeah, the guy I talked to is, $10,000 for what they're doing. I thought I expected it to be more like the $20,000 figure. But they're gonna trim everything out and make it look real nice because it's a showpiece for them, right in the middle of Main Street. So they don't want to do anything bad. I think that's a cheap price, but it's finding the money, like you guys said.
Anne's not here.
Yeah, Craig or Ann, was that a standing seam roof or what kind of a roof were they planning on putting up?
Now, maybe you can look for that, But Andy, what these guys that came in that I met with, they custom make every panel, every panel. So
Right.
they bring in their they have a machine that it comes in on a spool. It's a roll of tin, and they custom bend it right on site. One day they'll have it all done. One day, and they make every single piece custom so it'll fit exactly on that roof. He showed me what he does, and they have a machine that makes the roofing panel so there's no vertical seams. It's one continuous piece all the time.
It says it's a
Okay.
custom rib 3-foot panel manufactured in-house. They install over existing roof. They custom bent the edges, caps, color matching, fix all the screws, any new vents. They do all the new pipe, the pipe coverings, flash where needed. We don't have a chimney, but do a round chimney and 60-year guarantee.
You do have a chimney. He's gonna flash around the chimney.
Oh, okay.
But I was
right.
really impressed with the guy, what he showed me. Be honest with everybody.
And he actually had time if we get him an answer quickly.
Well, we'll have to look for
Have to search
what's
for
left
money.
in our maintenance funds. Okay. Thank you for the bad news, Ann. Groups on the field, soccer, softball, flag football.
Yes. So people are looking to get back out, different groups. And we have usually softball and baseball use the field, the school, and they will be again. And I think as much as we can use the field, we should have it be used by different groups. And these people have all asked if they can reserve for whatever night. I would make it work. I have a calendar and stuff, but I just wanted to make sure. I talked to Craig. He said it wouldn't bother the field. It's a strong field and stuff. I just wanted to make sure that you guys, all these, like it's Pemmy Baker. So it's not Ashland soccer.
Yeah.
It's little kids and stuff, but it's from the area. I just want to make sure we're okay with letting them all in because they're going to bring parents, to watch them. We still have the mask mandate, so they would have to wear masks, and I'll make sure that the agencies that come know that they need to make sure that their fans and stuff have masks on and stuff. But I just wanted to make sure it was okay with everybody to open that up. It's on my list because it's all non-resident stuff. I wanted to make sure of everything all at once.
Well, I know that there's been soccer there before.
Yes,
It was a few years ago
yep.
that I remember it. Softball was played there this last year.
The men's league, yes, this is little kid.
Yes. Well, that's part of the mix.
Yep,
Flag football. If you can, it's all the same sort of thing. They're all contact sports. I don't have a major problem with it. I'm concerned. I'd like to hear from the rest of the board. Bob?
Yes, is there a standard form that they fill out for the application where they identify the town? Do they have their own coverage for that? They hold us harmless, particularly in flag football. Flag football is you just touch it, you're not tackling, but
You haven't played flag
at least that's the
football
thought,
in a
right?
long time, Bob.
so the youth leagues send me, they have their own insurance, so they send me their waivers. Like the
Okay.
men's league, the co-ed
Softball.
softball league, it's not men, it's co-ed. Anyway, they all sign waivers. So
Yeah.
we either get waivers or insurance.
Okay, thank you.
Alan?
I will just make a general statement. I'd like to see it opened up.
Andy?
It'd be nice to see people using it again.
Okay. We're at use of booster club.
Okay, so I've been having people wanting to rent the Booster Club, and I put on their AARA and 4th of July because they usually have their meetings there, and they have wanted to have meetings there in
In-person
person
meetings.
again. And since I wasn't able to rent it out as of yet, I haven't let any meetings go on. So I just wanted to see if we are ready to open up for that as well, to rent it out and to use, let meetings go on there.
I see a head shake from Bob. I would think as long as the premises is kept clean and that people are still wearing masks, I don't have much of an issue. Alan?
I don't either. We've got to start doing this sometime, and as long as everybody's following the rules, I have no problem.
Andy?
I'm the same as Al. As long as everybody's following the rules, we should be okay.
And I think that we're more or less,
I wasn't sure, did we agree to charge people for the beach or no?
Thought we did. Thought we were going back to a normal
So go back to,
fees. And I think we'd do the same thing here with the Booster Club.
okay, and just a quick FYI, in case people have asked you about the hoops at the ballpark, they have not been put up yet. And that is because I have had to call the company that did the courts for the basketball courts because the cracks that they filled in have bubbled up. And they came down and looked at it and they talked to Craig because he was there. It was during the day. And they asked us to not let anybody on it for 2 weeks so they could come back and see if the bubbles went down. So that's why we haven't put the hoops back up because they may be redoing the court.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ann.
Yep.
Any other questions for Ann or comments about Parks and Rec?
You all set, Ann?
I think that's everything.
Thank you,
Okay,
Ann, for your hard work.
We have donation from Ashland Community Church to the Adopt a Camper Scholarship Fund. Who is in charge of that one, Ann?
Well, it's for summer camp.
Yep,
It's a scholarship there's a
Okay.
line item for it, but what I've been told lately is it might not be set up the right way, even though we've been using it the whole time. So I'm not sure what needs to happen with that.
Is that coming out of the office?
Yes. Telling me that it wasn't set up right, yes.
I think it's something we should, Ann, I think it's something we should investigate and make sure that it gets, we either are going to have a reason why it's not set up properly, or we will get it set up properly. We may have to figure out another way of doing something.
In my talks with New Hampshire Municipal, I found out that all donations are considered gifts and they should be run through the trustees of the trust.
Really? Another level of roadblocks. What if
Well,
the people who are giving it the scholarships gave it directly to the family they're scholarshiping to, and they paid it back to the town through Ann? Would that
I
work?
think it's, Ann, is your, not to totally blow that out of the water, but is it supposed to be anonymous, Ann? Which
Um,
campers get scholarships?
no,
Then I retract what I was going to say.
I mean, they have to, for the town, for that scholarship, they have to apply for it and there's certain guidelines. And what has happened in the past is I have just, at the end of the week, when I do the accounts and bring in the checks, I just put the amount and the line item, and they would just transfer it from one thing to the other. I don't know what the issue is now.
Okay, I think it's something we can find out. This is,
Oh, boy.
we might as well have a positive attitude about finding out, Bob.
I know.
Okay. Let's see what can be found out, Ann.
And
How's that?
who do we talk to? What do you want me to do to try and figure this out? Because this is all new. It's just been told to me.
Well, I think that we do have a person there who might be able to get the information for us. At least an explanation. Right, Miss Newton? I have a head shake from Miss Newton saying yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was aware of the communication that went on, and I don't think that this problem is unsolvable. I think we should be able
Yeah.
to get an answer pretty quickly.
but I think,
It's just a donation they want to make to a fund that we've, had before. It should not be a big deal, but I will try to see if I can track it down.
I see, it's been going on for the 40 some odd years that I have been in town. I think we need to, if it needs to be done another way, let's figure that out and get it set up right so that people can actually um, s- use it without any repercussions.
And
Is that
Fran,
acceptable? What?
if, I was just gonna say, Fran, if you need me to send you the numbers of the line item that it's usually on, I can email that to you.
Thank you, Ann. That would be helpful.
Yep.
And I will also check with the trustees. This is new information to me because we've taken gifts as a board in the past without
Yeah.
going to trustees. So I think that's probably unnecessary, but I'll check.
Okay.
Thank you.
Amesbrook Campground Summer Event. Chief, are you there?
I am here.
Is this yours?
Well, this is the new folks in charge of Amesbrook Campground they reached out to me asking for a detail for parking for an event they were going to have. And upon a little bit further conversation, he explained that the event was going to be a live band, and the detail that he was looking for was for parking people coming off of Winona Road into the campground. So I said, I let him know that I would be more than happy we can certainly help out with the detail portion of it, but at what point does a permit get needed for town, considering it was going to be a live band? Unsure of the hours and the time frame. But I clued Fran into that conversation through email to see kind of where it stood with the town and when a permit was needed and when one wasn't. So she threw it on the agenda for the board to talk about, to see kind of what we can do to make sure that Mr. I believe it's Grossman is all squared away for his event. I'm not really sure off the top of my head of what the date was as well.
Oh. I remember at one time, we did talk about, the Board of Selectmen did talk about how many people could gather before it needed a police detail. It was between 25 and 50 people. I think somebody had a auction going on and needed traffic control. I'm not sure that it's in the town. I'm not sure that it's in the town ordinance. It certainly isn't in the zoning ordinance. Alan, you're the next oldest one to have been around when this.
My memory doesn't come up with anything that would have required that. It's obvious that this is going to be, my guess is a few hundred people or more. But not knowing that, I really can't answer to the question. Obviously, I feel that a venue of that type needs to be scrutinized, and whatever is needed has to be provided one way or another.
Bob or Randy?
Ask the chief if he's got any of that information on the activities that are going to be happening at the campground. I think he must have a clue on attendance.
He didn't tell me initially how many people he was expecting. He just asked us to be involved for parking alone. I'm the one that brought up the possibility of needing a permit to him, which is what brought us to Fran as the town manager. He was told about this meeting. I'm not sure if one of the phone numbers is him or not. His name is Dan. I'm not sure if he's here.
I see.
No one seems to be jumping out.
I guess not. He didn't give me numbers. All it was I asked him for some clarification about what he was looking for with the detail portion of it. He indicated that it was for parking due to people coming off of Winona Road, and it's kind of obviously, as you all know, it's a tight turn right there. But he didn't give me any numbers, and he just referenced that there was going to be a live band. So I don't have a lot of details and specific information on it at this point.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. I would assume that it would be something that is involving the campground. If it's something beyond that, we need to know more about it.
Eli?
Yes.
The only ordinance I'm aware of is noise, and I think we have some rules around that, and I'm sure the chief can address that. It's private property. I don't see that we've issued permits for private property, but I would assume they'd have to adhere to noise ordinances. And, they've asked for the details, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Towns around us, Holderness, Plymouth, do have rules about the number of people that can congregate in one area at a time. Or they did have them. I think if the chief has been asked about parking, I'm curious where the parking is supposed to be, and I'm going to bet that it's along Winona Road.
My assumption is that it's in the campground.
Your assumption that it's within the campground.
I'm assuming he's going to utilize the space inside the campground, and my guess, given what I know about when people ask for details, is that, he's expecting, obviously, if there's going to be a live band, that there's going to be a set time for arrivals, given what time the band goes on. So if it was a car here or there, it wouldn't be an issue. But when you have an influx of cars coming all at the same time, that's when he's worried about the parking issue in terms of people coming on and off of Winona Road. And then at the end of the event, getting people out of there, which would be problematic on that road if he's going to have any numbers of people. So that's my guess on it, is that he's going to be parking them in the field. He's just looking for help getting them in and getting them out at the beginning and close. But we didn't get into heavy details on it until we put it in front of the board and spoke to Fran and you folks about whether or not he needed a permit to do anything like this and whether or not it would be approved before we got into any heavy details on it.
His email basically said he expects a good-sized crowd. And they're doing a fundraiser, and it will draw folks from outside the campground. So he's obviously expecting a lot of people. I can do some more digging and see if there's any kind of history for permits, but I'm not aware of any for private property, but we'll look into it. I would be concerned if they had 200 people there, but.
Yeah.
And we can try to get more details from Mr. Grossman.
Okay, Chief, we're going to have to put you off a little bit then.
Yeah, not a problem for me. I was reaching out for him, and again, I thought he was going to be here to give us some more information, but he must have missed the time change, considering I know he was tried to get on Monday with the whole internet problem. So I don't know if he got the information that it was rescheduled for today.
Okay. Let's move on to covered bridge repairs. David? It's after 6:15. So.
Well, I hope everybody received the letter that with the latest estimate from Arnold Grayton on what is proposed. I guess what we're looking for, there's a group that is planning to raise the funds for this project. And they want to be sure, of course, before they start that what these items will be approved, or at least some of them. It's your bridge, so you have to decide whether you want to do these things.
Greg? Have you seen the estimates?
I have, and I've actually spoken to the gentleman as well.
Okay,
So I just give you a little background. None of the estimates that he was given from Grayton's is structural. It's all cosmetic. One of the estimates was repairing the guardrails up to it, and we were going to do that up until the pandemic hit. And then the prices skyrocketed for pressure treated lumber. They went 3 to 4 times what the quote was. So obviously I wasn't going to ask David to fork over another, up to $10,000 when the original quote was like, I don't know if it was 3 or 4,000. So just given that fact, they want the bridge just to be really nice, and he's replacing cosmetic things on that bridge. The deck boards too. Talking with Grayton's about the deck boards, he said we could repair them and get another 2 or 3 years, but eventually they would need to all be replaced, over the deck of it that you drive over. But if they're willing to do it all, it's going to save the town money ultimately. And what they really just want to do is to have that bridge, and they want to keep it looking nice for the foreseeable future. So I think it's a good thing. It's going to save the town money, and it takes some work off the public work.
Just want to let everyone know that Arnold Grayton's here and the whole crew from Grayton. So Craig, if you want to direct questions to us or anything, we're here. So.
Yeah, so Tim's online if anybody's got any questions for him. He's the one that would actually do the repairs to the bridge, if anybody has any questions about it.
No, I think their reputation is pretty solid with the town.
agreed. Mr. Grayton?
Hello?
Is Craig's statement that most of this is a cosmetic repair? Do you agree with that?
It is, right? Most of
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Tim actually worked up the specs, so.
Yeah. So everything is cosmetic. I don't know how much background you guys have on this, but Brian Spira, who's the landowner that owns the cottages, he approached us and he said he was going to do a GoFundMe, and we said, well, we got to pump the brakes here a little bit because the town owns the bridge and they have to make decisions on what gets done. So he still wanted to do the fundraising and things like that. And I know he got in touch with David Rule and talked to the Historical Society about making some not alterations, but fixing some of the cosmetic things. So one thing that he was really pushing for was sheathing the inside of the sidewalk so that the people that are on the sidewalk can't kick the boards out anymore, because that's a maintenance item that Craig's had to deal with in the past, and it's sort of a pain to get out there and nail those boards back on when they get kicked off. So that's a little bit more than a cosmetic thing, I think. And then the deck boards, in talking with Craig over the past, 5 years or so, on and off, we go and fix them. And Craig's there fixing them. So that's, like we've said, they still have some life left in them. But, moving forward, it'd be nice to replace the whole deck, in the next 2 years, just so that the maintenance aspect of it will be less, I guess. So that's the background on it. The rest of the stuff is fixing trim and things like that. So.
This is actually Brian Spera. I'm the one who called the Graytons because me and my neighbors that live in the area, Bob White's on the phone as well in this thing, we decided that the bridge is 30 years old and it really could use some updating. It's a beautiful bridge. We've all enjoyed it for 30 years now, and we'd like to bring it back to its past for the next generation to enjoy. So we'd like to do a fundraiser through the Ashland Historical Society and see if we can raise the monies to get that bridge back into shape again.
A little more than cosmetic, though, the way I'm reading the Mr. Grayton's.
Well, the floor needs, the floor has outdone its life. I think the lifespan on the floor was, I believe, 25 years or so. So the floor really should be replaced.
Right.
And the guardrail caps are gone. They're all rotted through. So, I mean, these are things that, it's not structural, but it's visual, and we'd like to get them repaired at no cost to the town.
I'd also like to mention the no-char. In 1998, we did have, no-char is a fire preventive treatment that's placed for wood. So in 1998, Stanley Grayton did put a coat of no-char on the bridge. But later, the wooden shingles on the roof were replaced and they were not no-charred, and this new wood on the walkway would need no-char as well. No-char does slowly wear off over time with rain and like paint, But so that's an important thing because fire is probably the worst danger that bridge faces, really. Short of an overloaded truck, I guess, and that could do the same thing. But that's important to protect.
It's a preventative
Yes,
from losing the whole thing.
right.
Okay.
This
Does
is
the board
Arnold's
have
wife.
any-
This is Arnold's wife, Meg. Hi, everybody. Tim here is a certified applicator for no charge. So we did give David and I think Brian, it might be in all of your
Yes.
paperwork there, a proposal to put it on. And I told Brian, we're really busy right now, but we would get that done for you if you need it done right away. Because there have been a couple of fires in bridges lately. They burned one we built to the ground in February. It was arsoned. So it is a concern.
I happened to be watching a Vermont news channel a few weeks ago, and they talked about a snowmobile fire on a covered bridge in Vermont, and they had a video, and it was just, in the video, it's just a little smoke coming out of one end of the bridge, and it didn't look serious until the bridge broke and collapsed into the river. So I had never thought about snowmobile fires until I saw that. So things can go wrong that you don't expect at all. So we just think the no-char would be a good thing to renew and keep up to date.
Yeah. Anybody on the board want to discuss this?
Well, the discussion is just to approve it. I think that we should approve it. I think the financial part of it is one of those sticking points that we have, just like Ann has had that problem with the community church donating money. And so we have to get that figured out, but I think it's a good plan and I'm fully supportive of it.
And
Well,
Yeah, I mean, it's part of our community. We need to have the upkeep. And if they're willing to do the work to do it, then absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely.
now,
Thank-
do you want to have a vote on this?
I think we should.
Okay. Someone make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept these repairs at no cost to the town.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? That being, roll call vote, and Barney,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Eli Badger says aye.
I say aye too.
Bob Letourneau says aye. Okay,
Well, I think the way it's going to work is the money will be given to the Historical Society. So donors can take a tax exemption.
yes,
But it's the town that's going to be contracting with the Greatons,
yes,
right? So we'll give you the money, you pay them.
yep.
It's the way I understand it should work. So that's all right with everybody.
It's how it's worked in the past, isn't it, David?
Yeah, essentially that's how the bridge was built to begin with. The Squam River Covered Bridge Committee raised most of the funds and then turned them over to the town, who then paid Milton Grayton to build for the completion.
Yes,
of the
No,
bridge.
they paid Arnold Grayton. They paid Arnold Grayton. The bridge says it's built by Milton, and it is, but Arnold had the contract for it. The town sent me the contract a few years ago.
Oh,
Yeah, the contract was for Arnold, and the checks were made out to Arnold, just so you know.
are we talking about the roof repair or the original construction?
No, that was the original construction. Arnold held the contract.
Oh, okay.
okay.
Alan, you're muted.
Yes, I am.
Thank you for sharing that, Alan.
Well, I
Are
thought
we
you were
ready
trying
to
to
move
say
on?
something.
David, will this new agreement include the no charge, or will that have to be a separate?
Well, the estimate that you gave us includes the no charge. So the latest letter we got.
That was muted.
Okay.
Okay, so I believe all 5 items are the selectmen just approved, so we would
No, I gave
need
this.
some money for them. And hopefully save it all, so we won't have to discuss if we have to drop anything. We'll see.
David, do you have a timeline?
Well, let me turn that over to Brian and Bob. They are the ones who are doing the headlining
The actual work?
yeah. Oh, for the actual work, I don't know.
No.
No, the actual fundraising, me and Bob,
Yes.
yeah, we're gonna lead the charge on the fundraising. And seeing we're both summer residents, would like to get started sometime, probably right around sometime in May or June.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the right timeline. I think you're right, Brian.
Right. And we're gonna ask to put a sign on both sides of the bridge with like a thermometer that we're having made up. And Bob's wife's actually a professional fundraiser, so he might want to add something to this as well.
Well, we'd like to do direct mail. We'd obviously like to create a GoFundMe type page so that people can easily contribute. So it's our absolute goal to raise sufficient resources for this project and to leave any excess funds, should there be excess funds, in the control of the Historical Society. We're not going to bank any of the money. Obviously, we're going to let David worry about that.
Oh, count me in.
Okay. I'm sure you'll want to talk to us again. Please do not hesitate contacting the town manager.
Okay.
Thank you for taking this matter up. We appreciate it, and we look forward to
Yes.
trying to help get it done.
It'd also be
You're
good to have occasional reports to let us know how the progress is going.
Be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Okay,
Well, for the permission to proceed.
are we moving on now? Okay. The NHDES groundwater management at the electric building site.
We can shut down.
Okay.
Fran, I think you're up
Yes.
on this one.
So we received, some of you may recall that there was some issues that needed to be addressed in terms of contaminated ground at the site of the electric building. And things kind of got put off because of COVID. We've gotten a new proposal. They're ready to move forward. All the funds are reimbursable. I did speak with Kristen Zeman, who sent out the information, and you all have it. And I said it was a little unclear. You said mostly reimbursable. She said, no, pretty much all reimbursable. And that, they would submit the invoices directly to the state and they would be reimbursed. And it's going to be nothing for us, but they sent a proposed schedule that you can see starting May 11th. GZA is the company that put out the proposal. They'll be on to mark the dig safe, notification and so forth, ending somewhere around June, Wednesday, June, to submit the final report electronically to DES. And basically what they want us to do is to make a motion to approve their proposal, and they'll go ahead with the work. This is something that, like I said, was supposed to be done quite some time ago. And they're just now getting around to.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve or to accept the
Proposal.
the proposal that that the GCA will be doing the work, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And I think that's all we need to do is just accept the proposal. It speaks
That's
for
it.
itself.
Yep.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you,
Been
Ann.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing
Hey,
none.
Eli,
Yes,
this is the chief.
yes.
I understand that there's a shed that's going to be taken down over at the electric department. I'm sorry, at the where this is all happening. And is there a way that when it gets taken, that it can be, I don't know if it needs to be motioned or not, but can that go to the police department? There's a blower shed over there that's going to be removed in this project.
And where are you going to put it, chief?
I was looking at moving it down to our range.
I would think that as long as the shed's all in one piece.
Yeah, I'll speak to that a little bit. When I talked to them when they were there, doing the drilling and all that, and the project manager, she said it technically belongs to the project, whatever if it's a state project, it technically belongs to them, but if you were to ask for it, they would probably just say, okay, we'll leave it there, because oftentimes it costs more to get rid of that on a trailer than it does to just leave it on site. So they may say, yeah, just take it. That'll save us a few $100s of trucking and rigging and things of that. But they actually have to formally give that to you. And maybe Fran in her conversations or whoever could ask if they would leave it, and then the highway department could move it down there. And it's just for Will to lock up his targets and his shooting range stuff, so it's not vandalized.
Probably have to put some char on it then.
But it would just be a formality, I think, that somebody in the charge of the town would have to ask for it.
Has to ask for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Shall we include that in the motion as amended? Or do we just want to leave that hanging out there and let the town ask for it?
Fran, which would you prefer?
I don't think it needs to be a part of the motion. I mean,
don't-
we need to let them know that we've approved their proposal, and this has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the proposal. We
Right.
can take this as a separate matter, and I will be happy to call Kristen and speak with her about that shed.
Thank you.
Alan, do you remember whether GZA used to be Emery and Garrett?
Wow. I do not.
Okay.
Eli,
Yeah,
we're in
moving
a
on.
voting mode.
What?
We're in a voting mode.
Yeah. Library appropriation.
You haven't voted.
Oh. Darn. Okay, roll call vote. Ann Barney,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Bob Laterno.
Aye.
Eli Badger says aye. Now moving on, library appropriation. Who's speaking to this?
Well, I could,
Alan?
David,
yeah, I could.
It'd be nice.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus.
David's.
Uh,
You want to do it?
Oh, there
Go
I am.
ahead, David.
I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble with the computer here.
Okay.
Let me just try to get back to the screen. Oh, there you are. Okay. Yes. Essentially, we had sent you a letter about how much, or an email about the appropriation that will not be payroll related. And we're just suggesting dividing into 3 equal payments for each remaining quarter of the year. So that's all we need. It's the law says that the selectmen and the library trustees have to come to a mutually agreed upon payment schedule. We've usually done it by quarters. This year we had some money left over, so we didn't bother with the first quarter payment. But
So you want a vote that we do this for you?
yes, that's it.
I'll accept a motion to approve their payment schedule. Is there a motion?
I was muted. I'll make the motion to approve the moving of the funds.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Bob Laterno,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Ann Barney,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Eli Badger says aye. So moved. You'll get your money.
Thank you.
Moving on to the 4th of July committee appointments of Kendall Hughes and David Rule. If I remember right, they both submitted their paperwork. Do I hear a motion to appoint David Rule to the 4th of July committee?
Move to approve the appointment. David Rule to the 4th of July committee.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? I'm hearing none. Ann Barney,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Bob Laterno,
Aye.
Eli Badger, aye. Do I hear a motion to approve Kendall Hughes to the 4th of July committee?
I move to approve the appointment of Kendall Hughes to the 4th of July committee.
Second.
Any further discussion?
We'll have a little discussion. I spoke with Mr. Hughes this afternoon. He was unaware that the existing members of that committee were no longer members of the committee. They assumed that they were appointed and their appointments lasted until next year sometime or the end of this year. And I explained to him that the results of the select board meeting to dissolve the committee means that it's a brand new committee by ballot. And so they have to reapply. So we'll be getting the applications for the rest of the members probably for next meeting.
And I would hope so. So. Is it still the case? We need to vote on Mr. Hughes.
I'm
And
ready.
Barney,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Nay.
Bob Laterno,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
and I will say aye. Motion carries. Moving on to the 4th of July Mary Rule Award and Grand Marshal. Who is speaking to that?
I'm
sure David-
speaking. I'm speaking if you let me, because I'm not appointed.
In order to move this along,
I have emailed you my appointment tonight, but I didn't know I was supposed to do it before tonight's meeting. So it's in Fran's email box.
Why don't you tell us about the Mary Rule Award and Grand Marshal?
So the Mary Rule Award is being given to Nancy Cross for all of her volunteer work throughout the town over many, many years. It kind of came to our attention that she's never actually been a recipient of the award for everything she's done for several years. We spoke to her about it. I guess she's been offered it before and she's always turned it down. But this year she did accept the nomination.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Good.
And then the marshal will be Jane Lyford and Bob Baker.
Okay.
And we've spoken to them and they've accepted as well.
Good.
Yep.
So moving on to the Heritage Commission and Housing Standards Board appointments for Kendall Hughes. We'll take the Heritage Commission first. Do I hear a motion to approve Kendall Hughes to the Heritage Commission?
I'll
I'll
make
move
that
the
motion.
approval. Oh, go ahead, Ian. I'm sorry. I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. And Barney,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Nay.
Bob Laterno,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Eli Badger says aye. Next part of this is the Housing Standard Board appointment. Ms. Newton, what is the status of the Housing Standards Board?
It has not met for several years. The last time it met, I was health officer. So that's, what, 7 years ago? It's unclear to me whether or not you officially need to have one. Typically it's the health officer and the fire chief and other volunteers. Can't say that it ever did a whole lot, but it'd be nice to have one in place. And I would leave it to those who are on the Housing Standards Board to decide what they want to do with it moving forward.
At this time, I am not inclined to appoint anybody to the Housing Standards Board if it isn't an active board.
I would agree with that. I think that Kendall, if he's interested, should speak with other people. And if he has ideas of what they can do to move forward to reform this committee, then we could take it up.
But then wouldn't he have to have some authority to do that?
To discuss ideas? No.
Well, if you're gonna organize a meeting, I would think.
I just suggested that he speak to other people who might be interested and find out if there's any interest. It's not organizing a meeting of any kind.
We can post the Housing Standards Board needs members in order to fulfill its requirements.
So what you're suggesting, Fran, is to have Mr. Hughes go out and solicit other people to apply for that? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, he should find out if there's interest in reforming it. He's the only one I've heard from. And as Eli suggested, we could post that the Housing Standards Board needs members and see who is interested. Or Kendall can talk to folks that might be interested. Like I said, in the past, it was Kendall and the health officer and the fire chief and a couple of other people joined from time to time, but I'm not sure that, there's anybody else that's interested in it, but I think Kendall should find out. And we can actually put a note on the web saying we're seeking members.
We haven't had this committee in over 6 years. I don't see a need to start it again.
I don't either, Andy. That's why I suggested, if Kendall finds out that there are people that are interested in doing it and they have some ideas of what they want to do, then they can come back and reform the committee.
Do we know any history? Can you give us any history for us new people that what this board actually does?
The Housing Standards Board at one time would hear complaints when 10 or more citizens said that there was problem with a house. We would look at all the information and make a decision. And then the appropriate authority would handle it, whether it was a building inspector issue, a fire, a life safety issue. But with the way that this town has gone, we've had a more proactive fire chief. We've had a more proactive building and code enforcement office. And we've had a more proactive health officer. Right this minute, the individuals are fulfilling the duties once done by the Housing Standards Board.
However, what it sounds like is that the board, you had mentioned 10 or more residents may have an issue with something. For example, we had several properties up here on Thompson Street that
Yes.
were a real problem. And something like that kind of occurrence would be appropriate for that particular committee to meet and
To deal with.
No, excuse me, Bob, but we didn't deal with private residences. There were apartment buildings that had to have 3 or more units. We don't get involved in private residence.
So if somebody has 20 cars in their yard, they're only supposed to have 2 unregistered vehicles at most. We couldn't deal with that.
We deal
The
with
Housing
that
Standards Board did
Land-
not deal with that.
Okay.
through code enforcement.
It depended on the situation. It would either be code enforcement or the police, or, there were a variety of reasons for some of these issues. But it was not the Housing Standards Board. we looked after basically apartment buildings. And as Eli pointed out, our fire chief has the regular schedule for inspecting these things now for life safety issues, so.
I would imagine so.
Mhm.
I'd like to know more about it. Is there any history of it? Is there any meeting history or something we can look at what they've done in the past? Because if it isn't going to be used, then maybe we should disband it. But if it's going to be used, then maybe we should fill it.
Martine? When are the minutes of the Housing Standards Board still on the website?
Yes, the minutes of the only meetings that the Housing Standards Board had are posted on the website under the Housing Standards Board category.
Thank you.
Very limited number.
Okay, thank you.
There's 4 of them, Bob.
All right, I'll read them.
Okay, can we move on? Craig, are you going to explain annual crack sealing and road sweeping?
Yes, I will. So last year we didn't have to do this because, you know, we had a town manager, so we didn't bring it up to you guys because he just signed off on it. But it's an annual maintenance that we do. So the crack sealing won't occur until probably around May when it warms up a little bit. But it's to preserve our best roads, to keep the good roads good as long as we possibly can. So it's something we pay for annually. It comes out of the state's money that they give us, the road money that they give us every year. So we're able to do, I think this year, about 4 days worth of work. And that just seals up the cracks and keeps the water out, and it helps the road, the longevity of the road. So I just need approval for that. The annual sweeping we do annually springtime. As soon as we can get the guys up here and we know it's not going to snow, and they sweep the whole town out, and that's contracted through the same guys we've always used. They're always pretty good, and they're in and out quick. So we just need approval for that. And anybody's got any questions on what we do, but it happens every single year.
The only thing do you have costs on those?
Yeah, I sent it through to you guys. Actually, it's a little cheaper, I think, this by a few $100s, because I took off Hillside Avenue and Avery Street, which I'll give you guys the proposals later on about, and that's to use some of the capital reserves to do road repairs on those 2 roads. So I don't have it because I'm not in the office. I'm at home. Do you guys have that quote? It was.
I have it right in front of me.
Yeah.
Bob, how much was it for the crack sealing?
The crack sealing was $11,400. The sweeping cost was $2,900.
Yep. And that comes from the state money, just so you guys all know.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask, Craig.
Yeah, that's the $54,000 we got this year from the state of New Hampshire.
Okay.
Yep.
So you want a motion for?
Yep, just to have that approval to do those 2 jobs. That's all. Yep.
We'll do the crack sealing first.
No, the sweeping actually will be first. He wants it to warm up a little bit for the crack seal. It's a little too cold still.
As far as the motions goes, that starts with an A.
Whichever you prefer.
Annual crack sealing. Okay, it's more money too. I'll accept a motion to approve the annual crack sealing for $11,400.
I'll make that motion.
All right, go ahead, Andy. I'll
It's
second it.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ann Barney,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Bob Laterno,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Eli Badger says aye. moving on to the annual road sweeping for $2,900. Is that correct?
Yes,
I will accept a motion.
so moved.
Do I hear a
I'll
second?
second. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Ann Barney,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Bob Laterno,
Aye,
Alan Silly.
Aye.
Next on the
you want me
docket
to
is a
vote?
request by Director Craig Moore for a proposal to repair the rust overtaking the older 2012 544K loader. And
Eli,
it's
you
for
want to vote on the
$8,000.
contract, on the sweeping?
What?
You want to vote on the sweeping?
I thought we just did.
No, you didn't.
I did?
No.
Okay, I'll vote. Yes.
Thank you.
Majority rules.
I'll just give you guys, so this is something actually I've been working on since last summer to try to get somebody to fix the rust on this loader. As you know, it's what loads all our salt. It scrapes the salt off the main street every summer, every winter, and it's really bad. I think Alan has seen it. I don't know if anybody else has, but I've actually shown Alan. Excuse me, but I've been trying to get this done because the door is about ready to rust off it, and I just want to preserve it so we can keep this a long, long time. So this is really out of the blue. The guy calls me up and says, and I've been working on this since last summer. I got an opening next week for your loader. Can you bring it up? And I said, no, I need approval first. Send me a proposal. So he did. And that's what you got this week. And I know it's kind of a surprise, but I have been working on it with Charlie prior to this. It's in dire need. I think Alan can speak to how bad it is, but it's just an effort to preserve the loader. It's a lot of money to replace it, and it's $8,000. And that also is going to come out of my road money. I have enough in there to do it. And that's the grant money from the state, and it's allowed to maintain our equipment. We've done that before. In fact, we bought our new 1-ton with that money as well. So it falls within the guidelines of that road money. So anybody's got any questions, but I'd like to just look for a motion for approval.
So out of how much money are we getting from the state?
Without giving you an exact number, it's like $54,000.
So we're going to take, 8, 19, $22,000 out of that. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And yep, go ahead if anybody's got any questions.
Craig, is he going to put that inside or is he going to do it outside?
I don't know, actually, Andy. I'd have to, do you have?
Please ask that question. Please ask that question.
So what would do you have any experience with it?
I have experience with this gentleman. It was not a pleasant one.
Okay, so do you want me to request that? Should I request that you do it inside?
Request that he do it inside and request that you see it before he paints it.
Yep.
And I would, it's just across that bridge.
Yep.
I kind of hound him a couple times a week, look at it, see how he's doing, see what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I will. I will.
He tends to cut corners.
Be careful.
Yeah, okay. I will do that. Absolutely. I'll go up there, every a few days and just check on it. Absolutely. It's easy enough to go across the bridge.
Okay.
Yep.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Alan second. He's muted.
Alan's mouthing yes.
Second.
It's okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ann Barney,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Bob Laterno,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Eli Badger says aye. Alice Staples, you have a request for us to appoint Kathleen DeWolf to be an alternate on the library trustees. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Thank you.
Mr. Wolf also has a current volunteer form on file.
Oh, good.
I will accept a motion. Hearing none, I will move that Kathleen DeWolf, I will move Kathleen DeWolf to become the alternate to the library trustees.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ann Barney,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Bob Laterno,
Nay.
Alan Silly,
Nay.
Eli Badger says aye. Motion carries. Now we get to the fun part of this meeting. We have ex officio appointments for the Budget Committee, Planning Board, and Heritage Commission. I want to hear volunteers first. Who volunteers for the Planning Board?
I'll volunteer.
We have a volunteer. Andy Fitch is volunteering for the Planning Board. I move. Anybody else? Hearing none. I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Fitch as the ex officio member to the Planning Board. Do I hear a second? That failed. Okay. Moving on.
Andy, you can second your own nomination, just saying.
Okay, I didn't know I could. I'll second my nomination.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ann Barney,
Aye.
and Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Bob Laterno,
Aye.
Eli Badger says aye. We also need an alternate to the Planning Board. Who would like to step up and be an alternate to the Planning Board? Okay. Next is the Heritage Commission. Is there a volunteer to be on the Heritage Commission?
I will volunteer for that.
Okay, is there anybody else that wants to volunteer? Hearing none. I move that Ann Barney become the ex officio to the Heritage Commission. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ann Barney,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Bob Laterno,
Aye.
Eli Badger says aye. As far as an alternate to the Heritage Commission, Is there anybody that wants to be an alternate? Okay,
I could do
Move.
alternate, I suppose. I mean, I do love the Heritage Commission. I just have so little time now.
okay,
Board is keeping us pretty busy.
yes. So Mr. Letourneau has agreed to be the alternate to the Heritage Commission. I know. So I move that Bob Letourneau be the alternate to the Heritage Commission. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Little late, Andy. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ann Barney,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Bob Letourneau,
Aye.
Eli Badger says aye. And now for the crowning, the Budget Committee. Is there a volunteer for the Budget Committee? Since I once again will volunteer for the Budget Committee.
I'll make a motion. Eli
I'll
Badger for
second
the
it.
Budget Committee.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion aside from me saying nasty words at each and every one of you?
You're welcome.
None. Ann Barney,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Bob Letourneau.
Aye.
Now there is the alternate to the Budget Committee. Anyone want to jump out there and
I'm all set. I'm good.
understand? Understand.
I'll do it, Eli.
Thank you, Andy. I move that Andy Fitch becomes the alternate to the Budget Committee. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ann. It's been moved and seconded. And roll call vote. Ann Barney,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
Aye.
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Bob Letourneau,
Aye.
Eli Badger says aye. Is there any other business before this board?
Just a quick comment. I attended the TAC meeting yesterday on Zoom for the transportation alternate that I volunteered for, and they are finalizing their vote on the projects coming up, and there are 3 or 4 projects that are in line, and I have to fill out some forms this weekend and get it to them by Monday. They're mostly, Plymouth has some projects, Bristol has some projects, and Mountain Borough has some projects. So it's a pretty active committee.
Yes, it is.
And so, yeah, I just wanted to give you a report on it, and I'll let you know which projects ends up being approved at the after this is over.
Yeah. Craig, you had another item. The solid waste.
Gotta wake them up. Craig.
Look up, Craig.
I couldn't take the mute off. It kept going back and forth on me.
Okay.
So yeah, that is just so they can be reimbursed by the state for the hazardous household waste cleanup day. I think last time we had Charlie sign it, but we don't really have a manager now. So if you guys would,
I think that we can vote to have
I beg to differ, Craig.
Well, wait, I'm sorry, but they're actually, it says town managers, but I think Charlie signed it last time for us.
He was, yeah.
But I guess if
Okay.
you
Well, I've
want,
been signing as town manager for the last 3 weeks, so.
Yeah. But there's no spot on there, that's all. It just says
Okay.
selectmen, so I don't know whether they really request a selectman or if they want, if Fran can sign it, I'm sure. So I just need, it's just the technicality, that's all. Yeah, we're part of the Pemmy Baker Solid Waste District, and if the state didn't reimburse us, we'd have to chip in more, that's all, next year.
Okay. So, Fran, if there is a, if 3 of us have to sign off on it, I know I can come in tomorrow morning and sign off on it.
I can come in.
That's 2, going for 1 more.
I'll be in at some time in the day. It'll be
That's
afternoon.
3. The rest of you, Ann and Ellen are off the hook.
I have a quick question, campground that I forgot. The site, where the tree went through the camper,
Yes.
they have pulled it off to get it fixed. It's gonna take, what do you say, 6 to 8 weeks, I believe, for it to get fixed. They have paid their deposit and everything, done their contract. What he asked me is if we could kind of lower his payment, take out the 8 weeks that he's not going to be able to have it there, take it off what they rent for the year, because, it wasn't technically his fault, a tree fell. And so he's just asking for us to alleviate some of the payment. I told him I would ask.
Mr. Letourneau.
So, the tree fell, it was our tree, fell on his camper, did damage. He's not asking us to pay for the repairs. I think it would be a sign of good faith if we were to allow Ann to manage that request.
Anyone else?
I agree that we should probably prorate some of this. They are long-term residents, have been here a long time. I'd like to see them stay here.
Anyone else? Ann, do you want a motion on this?
Yeah, if you guys could.
Okay,
That would be great.
I'll accept a motion to prorate. What's the person's name?
Mark Cappy.
Mark Cappy's seasonal fee.
Ann, could you spell that?
CAPPI.
So I'll make the motion to approve the prorating of the seasonal fees for Mr. Cappy.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Ann Barney?
I don't think I can vote on it, but
No.
I would.
You're right. Alan Silly?
Aye.
Andy Fitch?
Aye.
Bob Letourneau?
Aye.
Eli Badger says aye. If there is no other business before this board, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to go into non-public.
And under what?
91A.
What part?
Employees at the town hall.
I don't have my, Fran, do you have your list?
I do. A is the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee or the disciplining of such employee. B is the hiring of any person in the public employee as a public employee. The others don't apply.
It would have to it would have to be A.
If it needs to be.
Well, there's only
Not hiring
specific,
or firing anybody, but
there are only specific things that we can go into non-public on.
right.
Um, And,
We'll make it A and move it forward.
okay,
I don't want to be up all night.
then,
Apologize to the rest of the board, but I've had phone calls and I need to respond to it somehow, so.
okay, I am going to ask the police chief to leave.
We haven't had a second or a vote yet,
Yeah.
Eli.
I'll- do I hear a second?
Second,
Do I hear any further discussion? Hearing none? Roll call vote. Fran Newton, excuse me. Bob Laterno,
Aye.
Alan Silly,
aye,
Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Ann Barney,
Aye.
and Eli Badger says aye. We are now back in public meeting. There was no decisions made during the non-public. And at this time, once again, I will ask if there is any further business before this board. Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye.